Still in the realm of the fixed stars, on the cusp of the final threshold, Dante is now called upon to show his understanding of the three great theological virtues: faith, hope, and love. He has moved in wonder and awe through all the levels of consciousness, Helen Luke explains. He has looked and listened and laboured to understand, but before he can proceed, he must be able to express this understanding. The three saints, those whose lives most fully reflected the attainment of these virtues, now come forward to assist him. They are Peter, James, and John. The next few verses are devoted to these explorations, which are frequently misunderstood as being mere tests of intellectual attainment. But they are so much more than this, more like measurements of illumination, of how aligned Dante has become energetically, how far his words ring true, how far they really chime in with the essence of each great virtue. There is something very important about being able to speak the truths we come to know, for in some mysterious and yet vital way, it facilitates our progression, as it clearly does here. Dante prays for grace to illumine his responses. We have no time here, though, to delve into all that then transpires, but suffice to say, our poet does find words to express his understanding. Helen Luke sums up his responses in her commentary. Of faith, he speaks of the supremacy of one's direct and personal experience of God, of the numinous, of that which is sacred and divine, that nothing can thereafter counter. Of hope, he speaks of the ability to hold to this knowing, even when one's life falls apart. Peter and James delight in these responses, and they swirl about him in appreciation. John comes forward then, he who laid his head upon Christ's shoulder at the Last Supper. Dante gazes upon him in awe, as one who stares too long at the sun's eclipse and becomes temporarily blind, he tells us, and suddenly Dante loses his sight. Even now, you see, in this high heaven, he must be careful, as we all must. The danger of falling, of tumbling back through the heavens, no matter how high one has soared, is an ever-present danger, just as it was for Lucifer, God's most beautiful and dearest angel. St. John quickly reassures him that all will be well, that Beatrice will restore his sight soon enough, but for now he should use his blindness to good end, to go deeper in, to discover the words he needs to express his understanding of love, the greatest of all the virtues. For a long time, Dante is silent, patiently waiting until he is moved to speak. It is the Alpha and Omega of all the scriptures which Amor reads to me, shallowly or deeply, Dante eventually begins. It is the knowing that love is all, that love unites all, nurtures and forgives all, and draws each soul to its embrace. God in his infinite love is both the garden and the one gardener too. The saints delighted in his response once more, Dante writes, and as soon as I fell silent, the sweetest song resounded through the heavens, and my lady cried, "Holy, holy, holy," with them all. And as a man wakes from sleep at a bright light that pierces veil after veil of the eye, so Beatrice made the scales fall from my eyes with the rays from hers, that would cast their glow 1,000 miles, so that I saw more clearly afterwards than before. And straight away, with this expanded vision, Dante becomes aware of a fourth light amongst the assembled souls. It is Adam, Beatrice tells him, the first man. "O ancient father," Dante begins once more in awe, "you, the only fruit of the harvest created fully mature, I beg you, devoutly as I can, speak to me. You see my wish." Graciously then, and knowing what is in our poet's mind, Adam explains many things, unfolding for Dante deep mysteries that humankind struggles to comprehend. It was not the fact of eating the apple that initiated the great fall, Adam tells him, but something much more subtle. In the beginning, Jah was the name of the highest good, meaning I, but then, as if in a dream, the I became El, meaning he. The unitive I am was lost, and we, by default, became other, and we knew ourselves as other, and quickly fell to earth. The canto then draws to a close, with Saint Peter turning red as flame and denouncing the current pope, before ascending with the others, like sparks of brilliant light, to their eternal dwelling beyond. Throughout the Paradiso, we have seen a steady stream of criticism directed toward the church, a church that had utterly lost its way, a church no longer representative of heaven above, and this fierce and unrestrained invective delivered by a crimson-faced St. Peter is perhaps the most vehement yet. From above, here, the ravening wolves are seen, he tells Dante, dressed as shepherds in all the pastures. My burial ground has become a sewer for that blood and filth whereby the perverse angel who fell from above is placated. And you, my son, he adds, turning to Dante, you who will return below because of your mortal heaviness, open your mouth and do not hide the things I do not hide. And saying so, the souls take their leave. Dante must tell all, just as Cacciaguida, his great-grandfather, had said in the heaven of Mars. But for now, Beatrice bids him look back one final time before they leave the material realm completely. Look down, she counsels, and see how far you have orbited. Since the first glance which downward I did send, I saw that I had moved through the degrees, which the first climate measures mid to end. Beyond Cadiz I saw Ulysses' mad track, and eastward to Europa's shore. But my enamoured mind burned more than ever to bring my eyes back to my lady, for nothing compared to the divine delight which shone on me when I turned toward her smiling face. And her love for him at this moment, we are told, literally propels him into the embrace of the ninth heaven. And the angels sing, Gloria in excelsis Deo, as they move and merge into the light. Dante and Beatrice now arrive in the Primum mobile, il cielo cristallino, the last outpost of the material world, called the crystalline heaven because of its translucent nature, and the Primum mobile, the prime mover, because from its infinite speed the lower heavens take their slower motions, hardly visible at all until the eye is entrained to it, for it spins at unimaginable speed. In Dante's vision, this is the realm from which our space-time continuum both begins and ends. It is at once the last degree of time and the first degree of eternity, as the French philosopher Henri Corbin has so poetically expressed its mystery. The canto begins with Dante still gazing into Beatrice's lovely eyes, where he sees a single point of light, un punto luce, as the Italians say. And when he turns to look for himself, he sees a radiance so acute, he explains, that anyone who faced the force with which it blazed would have to shut his eyes. It is the first glimpse of his final destination. On that point, Beatrice tells him, depend the heavens and the whole of nature. All reality round its fixed centre moves, but in this height where God is, all the love and all the light, there is no other where. And here, writes Christian Woves in his book The Metaphysics of Dante's Comedy, Beatrice is directly quoting Aristotle. She is referencing his classical assertion that beyond the material universe, beyond matter, beyond every form, there is only the divine mind, only consciousness, only light and love, and beyond that there is no other where. Dante calls this point, this source of light, the pure spark of being. And from it, Beatrice tells him, God's love pours throughout all creation, and did so instantly, from the very first moment, as in crystal, or in amber, or in glass. A shaft of light diffuses through the whole, its ray reflected instantaneously. And as she speaks, 9 rings of brilliant, dazzling light stream forth from that core. They are the first rays enkindled at the source, the 9 celestial choirs of angels in their 3 glorious triads. From the innermost to the outermost ring, they are the seraphim, cherubim, and thrones. the dominions, virtues, and powers, the principalities, archangels, and angels, and all dance and sing Hosanna. From choir to choir, Dante explains, towards the fixed point which holds and will hold them forever. But Dante is perplexed. The rings are faster and smaller, the closest to the centre, an inverse configuration to that which he has known thus far, where greater vision has been accompanied by a greater expanse of space, as experienced in the journey outwards from the earth. Now, it seems, as he transitions between the material and spiritual realms, he must turn his gaze inwards. Seeing his confusion, Beatrice seeks to explain the mysterious relationship of the two orders he now perceives. "If you wish to be satisfied on this," she says, "take what I tell you and wrap your mind around it. In the material realm, the primum mobile, the largest and fastest sphere, corresponds to the smallest and fastest sphere of the spiritual realm. What Beatrice is describing here," writes Klein, "is a spiritual rather than a spatial correspondence between the two arrangements." And suddenly Dante understands. His perspective shifts, and the realization dawns that his outbound journey through the heavenly spheres from the starting point of the earth is also, in some mysterious way, an inbound inner journey to the centre of the soul. And as this realization dawns, the angelic circles glitter with sparks like molten iron and sing Hosanna once again. And as light and love cascade down through the universal hierarchy, Dante and Beatrice are conversely drawn upwards, to the centre of the celestial choirs, to the brightest point. And one by one, the angelic circles fade and disappear from view as they move into its dazzling, blinding light.